Hey, my name is Trip Six, and I'm with Gears, and you're listening to Conversations with Vin and Sori.
I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And I am the Berserker Blothar from the rock band GWAR. Glad to be here.
Excellent, man. You know, when we first got the word that we were going to get you, I was like, no way, this is never going to happen. But here you are.
That's right.
In the flesh. Okay.
How can you be so blessed? What have you done to deserve this?
That is a really good question. We don't have the answer to.
So we had Metallica, and it was between Metallica and GWAR, and I was like, we're gonna go with GWAR.
Yeah, I understand. So we've bumped Metallica before.
So look, we got introduced to your band from our channel. I wasn't familiar with GWAR at all, and then one of our close friends requested a song from you guys, and we had no idea what we were getting into. So the first thing I want to ask you is, who kind of came up with the aesthetic for the band?
Well, the rock band GWAR, as you see it today, is of course a group of intergalactic space warriors sent to the planet Earth, where we instantly were, acting as gods, superhumans on this planet. And we were discovered by a manager who looked at us and said, he's an unscrupulous fella, sort of like Elvis's Colonel Tom Parker, named Sleazy P. Martini. He took one look at us and he said, these guys are stupid enough that they have to either be professional wrestlers or rock musicians. And so he put us to work being rock musicians. In another time frame, there were a group of crazy visual artists from a town called Richmond, Virginia, where you had a group of a school called Virginia Commonwealth University. It was an art school, and a bunch of punk rockers that were just putting together an idea to have a crazy art project. And that GWAR really spun out of that. Like when a guy's making a science fiction film, putting the costumes on this punk rock band, and the next thing you know, GWAR is born.
So after you guys have been doing this for basically 3 decades, did you guys think you'd be doing it this long?
No. Yeah, it is a long time. No, I mean, we had hoped, GWAR, it's a little bit like Gilligan's Island, right? We keep trying to escape the planet Earth, but no matter what we do, we just wind up here making bras out of coconuts and, radios out of ridiculous tinfoil. I don't know. So, I mean, we never planned to be on this planet for this long. So absolutely not. But, it's unsurprising that humans are so boring that naturally they pay attention to us. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon.
Well, I was going to say, because when we started the channel, there were a couple, other reactors that started the channel with us, and then I'm not going to say they're no more. They're doing other things, I'm sure. But yeah. When you guys think about the bands that you guys were coming up with, 30 years later, you guys are probably the last men standing. What do you think the difference is between that type of longevity versus a 2 to 5 year career as a band?
I think, it's a lack of common sense, really. Just pure gluttons for punishment. What can I say? It's like what sets an alcoholic apart? That's the guy who walks out of a door and he gets hit in the face with a plank, and he says, I got to try that again. Maybe this time it'll be different, right? That's GWAR, right? Like we're just getting hit in the face with planks a lot, staying drunk. So, I think that GWAR, in the very early days of this band, we rode around in the sort of circuit that was carved out by American punk rock bands like Black Flag and Circle Jerks and the Dead Kennedys, playing right on the tail end. GWAR was at the mid-late 80s, right at the end of the sort of glorious period of American hardcore. And we plugged into that scene that was left and rode around in our school bus back in the day, showing up in all these towns and like some kind of nightmarish Partridge Family, and playing rock shows, and we just kept at it. We never stopped, I was having dinner with Willie Nelson, let me tell you. And he told me, you know what? Just don't quit. That's the secret. Don't quit. What's the secret to success? Don't stop doing it. How are you going to do anything if you stop doing it? Think about how stupid that is. You can't do anything if you stop doing it.
and now, I mean, think about it. They've played in front of thousands of people, sold millions of records. But here he is now talking to us, which is the greatest accomplishment for this band ever.
Yes, it's the pinnacle of my career, both professionally and personally.
Lucky you.
Are you blowing off Metallica for these guys? I got to call up Kirk, tell him I'm not interested in his guitar lesson.
No time.
No time.
So
I've blown off Metallica before, trust me.
Do you guys ever feel like the way that you do your music and what you do with it, that it kind of like, you guys ever feel underrated because of it, or what do you mean?
You mean because we have this great, big, unbelievable, absolutely mind-bending rock and roll theatrical performance, and then we play rock music, and of course the rock music is never going to live up to the fantastic, full-blown, mind-bending theatrical performance. I mean, we used to worry about these things, but the truth of the matter is that if you pay attention to GWAR, GWAR is not what you expect. Not musically, not thematically.
I was quite surprised.
It's going to be different than what you imagine. And if you scratch that surface, there's something there. And if there wasn't, then I don't think we would have been around for 30 years.
Yeah, what is it about you guys that makes your fans? So Slipknot fans are crazy, but and I'm sure when they hit their 30-year mark, they're going to have a crazy following. But why do you think that your fans are so? It's cult-like.
Yeah.
Why is that? What is it about you guys that makes you have such a loyal following with your group?
I mean, I don't know. Why do people like what we do? I think that GWAR creates a world that people can look at and enjoy and get inside of, in the same way that science fiction has created worlds, and that comic books create worlds, and even something. GWAR valorizes the low, right? GWAR is not ashamed. And now, of course, in society, things have changed around quite a bit, and things that might be considered low culture, or sort of, we don't have quite that division anymore in the way that we did when we started. But GWAR was born out of the frustration of looking at art writ large and saying, you know what, this stuff sucks. Let's do comic books. Let's do rock and roll. Let's do fun stuff. And I think that there are a lot of disaffected people in life who can get behind the sort of emotional energy and the visual image and the things that we do on stage. And B, there's, I think, a much larger group of people who just enjoy having a world that they can get into and become part of.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
That's actually
a really good point.
A very insightful answer, actually.
So do you think that, like now there's like everybody there's a lot of people get triggered, and there's cancel culture, safe spaces, stuff like that. Do you think that your band would have survived had it started now rather than 30 years ago?
It's a good question. People ask that question about, things like, you see things like, would the movie Blazing Saddles be made today? And you know what? Blazing Saddles wouldn't need to be made today. It wouldn't be made today because it's not necessary today. And the person who made that movie was brilliant enough to understand when it needed to be made, right? And he made it then. He didn't make it now. He doesn't need to make it now. Nobody does. The world's different.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen
that. That's actually very intelligent. Go ahead, continue.
But, as far as for GWAR, what you're looking at is something that we wouldn't have made the records, some of the records that we made then. Now we wouldn't need to. And I don't know that GWAR would it come in. I mean, it's an interesting question because it kind of comes down to like, is the world just so is it so fraught with seriousness and with dismay and with a lack of humor that something like GWAR could not spring from this? I don't think that's true. I think somewhere there's a group of young people who are doing something that is incredibly interesting. That's just going to, it's just very, very different from GWAR, right? And that's what needs to be made now, right?
The last two answers.
I know.
I don't want to insult you, but they're the most insightful answers I've ever heard in my life from these interviews. And we've interviewed some very important people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to insult you, be like, yo, I thought you were going to be an idiot. I didn't think you were going to be an idiot. I just didn't think you were going to be a genius either. Okay, we continue. They'll never talk to us again.
That's all right.
Tell me about the first metal record you ever owned in your life. So I'm going to tell you mine. I know we're doing an interview, but I just wanted to tell you mine. Mine was Follow the Leader from Korn. So I got, I saw them at Woodstock. I was a big rap head. I was in the Bronx, New York, and I was a big hip hop head, and I was looking for DMX because he was there. And then I saw this band. I was like, yo, these white boys jumping all over the place. Like, you're being very angry. And I was very angry. So I was like, wow. So I had like a 20-second clip of that performance. And then I found out that they were like a whole band and they had a whole record. So I went and scrounged up the money and got Follow the Leader. And I remember being on the train on the way home and holding on to it. And I wouldn't open it up until I went home because I was scared that the CD was going to come out. And I was like, this is like the Holy Grail. And I remember opening it. It was like a cartoon in there, with the girl or whatever. It was just a very important moment in my life. So now that we've got through my autobiography.
It was a conversion narrative. That's what you're describing there.
Yes.
You're describing a moment of awakening when you realized who you were, at least in part, through music.
100%. 100%. So tell me about, how did that happen for you? What was the first metal record that you had, and how'd that go?
Well, this isn't going to be a big surprise, but well, part of it is a surprise. My grandmother, God rest her soul, I think, I don't know, probably not, honestly. She had a record collection. My grandmother, who lived in a trailer, in her trailer, she had a record collection, and in that record collection was Kiss's Rock and Roll Over. I don't know why.
I knew it was Kiss. I should have said it, damn it. Continue.
And so, I twisted the head off of the porcelain matador and drank some bourbon with the old lady and sat down and listened to Kiss Rock and Roll Over. She taught me how to play guitar. She taught me how to play organ.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was the whole Saturday night, Sunday morning dichotomy I had going on there. I had the good grandmother who had the bourbon and the Kiss, and then I had, or the bad grandmother, and then I had the good grandmother who would take me to church where I learned how to sing and be the angelic choir boy that you see before you today.
Yeah, but you needed both. We're in with the big guy. I think your grandmother's okay, bro. We'll put a word up there in the front office. That is an amazing story. I feel like you're going to be a cool grandmother, Michelle.
Probably by the time I get there, yeah.
Yeah, I'll teach him.
I'll be like, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a little.
She was cool. She was very cool. Yeah. But, finding that Kiss record, though, I mean, you're right, and those are the moments that change people's lives.
Yeah.
It's moments when you recognize the power of music, like exactly to shape who you are, or at least to give you an avenue, something to hang your hat on. And that's definitely what I hung this hideous hat on Kiss at a very young age, thanks to my old grandma.
Oh.
Did your grandma ever get to see you play?
No. She was long gone by the time that happened, unfortunately.
She's watching now, I'm sure.
Yes, my mother has seen me play.
What does your mother think about it?
Well, you know, like she's a very, very Christian lady, and her one question was, "It's very creative, but why does it have to be so nasty?" That's what she asked.
What do you mean, Mom? Is it the same?
Yeah.
It's very creative.
Yeah.
That sounds like something my mom would say. My mom,
100%.
my parents are very, very strict Christians, especially my father. My father would never say even our channel was creative. It would just be looked at as very bad.
Created by the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom would say something like that. She'd put some nice in there, but then she'd also be like, "But why does it have to be so?"
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. And my father's the same way. If you played country music, you'd be a millionaire by now. Many times over.
With that get up, get a top hat on.
I tried, man. Nobody wants to see me in Nashville, you know.
You'd be a millionaire by now. Oh, it's terrible.
I swear to God, if you guys had a reality show about your family, I mean, think about that comment. The two grandmas, the mom and the dad. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You'd be a millionaire by now.
That's true. So when in your course of this entire band, the last 30 years, when did you realize like, yo, we made it. I made it.
I think I'm still making it. I'm making it right now. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just something that happens over time. You know, one day you wake up and you're fabulously wealthy and rolling around with the stars. You know, having dinner with Regis Philbin, and I don't know, getting your nails done. I mean, I think that probably the servant of Michael Bishop, who's the servant of Blothar. I think that the moment that he realized that he was a part of something important is really the moment that I made it. Right? It's not suddenly realizing that you know, or getting to a point where you're signed to a record label and you're making money and you step foot on a tour bus for the first time. Those aren't the important things. It's the moment that you realize that what you're doing is something you really want to do, and it doesn't feel like it's compromised in any way. And the part of when you just wake up and do what you do, you're just being yourself. And somehow you're creating art and you're doing something important with people that you like. That's, you know, so that would be probably around about 1988 when we call them the slaves of GWAR, when Michael Bishop, the servant of Blothar, when he realized that he was a part of something that was larger than himself and that it was going to be around for a long time. That's when I made it.
So do you, because you mentioned you came from a religious family, do you feel a sense of purpose or any transcend, like when you talk about, man, I'm part of this movement, sorry, Michael, the slave of Blothar, part of this movement, I'm impacting these people, I'm giving them an alternate reality to kind of escape from the crazy circumstance we all find ourselves in. Do you feel a sense of purpose that you were meant to do this, or do you look at it another way as you're just incredibly lucky?
Yeah, this is luck. This is nothing but good fortune. That's what stood me here. No, I mean, it's a great question, because it's almost too great of a question, right? Because you're asking about predestination in a sense. I believe that GWAR mounts a serious critique of modernity, and that critique needs to happen. And we've been very fortunate to be wise enough. Pay attention to what GWAR does. We've been wise enough to keep ahead of this tidal wave of human misery, and we've done it the right way. And you know, so perhaps it is fortunate, but it's also something that's important and that has meaning behind it. GWAR makes meaning, and people make meaning from GWAR. And you know, and we have very little control in some ways over the meaning that they make from it. But you know, we know what we think, we know what we want to do, and GWAR does send a message. It's a problematic, crazy, messed up message, but there's something there if people pay attention to it. And the best way I can describe it is as a critique of modernity. That's it.
Okay. So
Sorry.
No, you're good. Your answers are extremely interesting.
Well, yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm like completely blown away. I don't know if you're editing this part. I'm just completely blown away by this picture. This guy, like, he's making me want to go back and read my Thomas Edison. Need to reevaluate my life.
read your comics.
Right.
You know, there's something there. Comics are good.
There's something there. Comics are good.
They are.
Very good.
Feedback.
So I want to end your most significant moment with a fan.
Most significant moment.
Most significant moment with.
Why am I suddenly getting?
Why am I suddenly getting a
reverb here?
Reverb here.
I don't know.
In the recording.
College
In the recording.
Dude's green.
He was always green.
Was he as green?
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
I was trying to decide if his beard was actually dyed, and then I realized no, I think it's a light. So I've been looking at the green. There's no reverb on our end. It's
all right. If there's no reverb on your end, then that's fine.
There's no reverb. The last question was.
What was it?
What was the most significant moment that you had with a fan?
Oh, the most significant moment that I've had with a fan would probably have been modeling the life out of any audience member. I mean, it means something when people come up to us and they say, you know, you got us through a hard time in life. And I'm usually like, you know what, kid? Actually, I'll tell you what the greatest moment was. We used to get actual fan mail. And we got some fan mail from this kid, and he said, listen, people make fun of me all the time. And I want to kill myself. And if you would mention on stage that I was cool, then maybe people would leave me alone. My friends who really like your band, they would leave me alone. So we read this and we said to ourselves, you know what? We should probably mention this kid when we get to his town, right? Which was St. Petersburg, Florida. I remember it well. And so we go to the show in St. Petersburg. As usual, we get knocked down, drag out drunk, and smoke a bunch of weed. And then around 2:30 in the morning on the tour bus, we look at each other and say, we forgot to mention the kid's name. Is he alive today? I don't know.
Oh my gosh! That's so terrible. Oh, man, how can you laugh?
I was that kid. Oh my God, is he alive today? It's the way he said it.
I know.
It's not my fault. Don't stop judging me. Oh man, that's great.
That was an unexpected twist in the story.
I was really like,
yes, looking for some real significance here.
You were looking for a transformative moment, and that's not what you got. That's what GWAR gives you.
I can't stop. Oh man. All right. That's it. Well, he said like I remember it well.
I know. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is gonna be really crazy.
This guy. This is my favorite movie. I mean, you can edit the stuff out so we can look professional. But so on a serious note, what's it like so you're 30 years in now, and one of your brothers is gone.
Yes.
What's that? You know, we were just doing a review of Linkin Park song yesterday, and you know, this is one of the worst things about the channel is that discovering these bands like Pantera and things like that, because I didn't know anything about metal. I knew Korn, Slipknot, and Metallica. That's all I knew. And so we really got introduced to real metal through the channel, through our community.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, you know, one of the things I've done is I go, okay, you fall in love with a band, you discover that somebody died, and like I'm kind of a depressive person as a general rule, and I'm trying to be like, okay, I'm just going to appreciate these guys for what they gave and not think so much about the fact that they're gone, and just appreciate their music whenever they come up. So I'm looking at Chester yesterday and in front of thousands of people and all that, and I'm like, damn, what's it like for his bandmates to look at where he was on the stage? He's not there anymore. What is it like 30 years, you know, 25 years, being with a person, being a brother, going through the ups and downs, the successes, the peaks and valleys? What's that like, not having him here in the flesh anymore?
Well, GWAR is a band that's had a lot of loss, right? There was the guitar player, Flatus Maximus, who passed before Oderus Urungus, the late great lead singer of GWAR. So it was a band that has experienced these kinds of losses more than once, and I mean it's difficult. You asked about keeping going and about like, you know, realizing that you made it, and I gave you a somewhat personal answer that didn't have to do with money or with status or with, you know, realizing, you know, that you had made some dream come true. It was more about realizing that you had a commitment to the people that you were working with, and that you were all dedicated to doing this thing. And that tie that binds is real, and it's familial. I don't know how best to describe that other than that word. So it's like losing family, and it certainly has been difficult. But GWAR was able to, you know, one of our proudest things is really that we were able to continue on and to make a GWAR record after losing Oderus that's still a GWAR record. It still sounds like a GWAR record. And that was a big achievement. That was a big achievement. Probably the biggest achievement. Probably the biggest achievement ever made.
Yeah.
So
do you look at that as a
difficult thing to deal with? But, you know, we manage, and yes, we miss him all the time. And there's no question. You have fans, and they're like, "I liked it before." It's like, "I liked it before." You didn't, right? Like, I mean, right? Believe me, there's no group of people on the face of this planet who wants Flatus Maximus and Oderus Urungus back more than the people that GWAR. And you know, we keep going in part because we know that that's what those guys would want us to do.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, writing that record without him and making it a good GWAR record is kind of like, did you guys feel like that was like the ultimate tribute you could give to him?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because
oh yeah,
you know, the lead singer is kind of definitional of the band, but some bands would never be able to recover. But then there are those few that the ethos and musicianship is so tight, and the talent is there where they're able to continue. You guys are able to accomplish that, and that's not common in this industry.
It's not. There almost has to be something exceptional, some way that the band is different than other bands that makes that possible. In the case of AC/DC, losing Bon Scott, you know, they were a band that had such a formula that they just were able to find a guy who actually has a sort of a better, more of a range than Bon Scott. Put him in that role, and they still made music that people like. Black Sabbath working with Dio, right? I'm not gonna say that I liked Van Hagar, but hey, I mean, At least they didn't have to deal with that jackass anymore, right? So, you know, in our case, GWAR has always been a collective of artists and musicians creating what you see on stage, and so it in some ways evades the cult of personality that rock bands get, and also I think that it takes a toll on your ego, right? When you're just a big space monster, it's not your face that's out there; it's this face, right? So it makes it a little bit easier to go on when you lose somebody.
Yes,
that's well said. Jay, the guy who introduced us to your band, and
also the creator of this shirt.
The creator of this shirt, by the way, get his shirts, everybody. And he's a musician,
right? He's a rock. You're in a rock band, is that right?
Yeah, we're all in the band together, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jay's a guitarist, and then she's the vocalist, and I kind of like share along with guitar. We actually have like some legitimate musicians in our group, so we're pretty excited. Maybe we'll be on tour with you. No, I'm just messing. But I'm gonna replay that part of the tape over and over. It's so funny. It's hilarious.
My gosh.
But Jay wanted to know: Do you guys have any unreleased material from Odorous that is coming out for the 30th anniversary that people could do?
Not with the 30th anniversary. Well, actually, that's not true. No, of course. Yes, there is unreleased material that will come out with the 30th anniversary release of the Scumdogs box set. It's the 30th anniversary of Scumdogs of the Universe. And there are demos from that time period that were made in our rehearsal space that are included in that box set, actually on a cassette. So you'll have to dig up a cassette player to find it, to play it. But, you know, that's how we recorded them, and that's how we put it out. So, yeah, that stuff exists. Wow. And the release itself, there's material that it's not just a re-release of the record. It's so we took the opportunity to remix the record, to re-edit the record. So there are performances on it that are impractically long, right? I mean, there's nothing like we would do today, but you know, it's what it is. It's a piece of art. It's the whole thing, right? You know, so there's some songs on there that are literally 3.5 minutes longer than they were. So you can hear all of the stuff that we put out.
Oh,
so
wow.
there's new material. New material.
Okay, so tell us when Scumdogs, the standalone LP, comes out.
Well, the standalone of Scumdogs, the LP, the CD, the digital release, that comes out on October 30th. And the standard, the box set comes out August 21st. And that's the special package that has the cassette that you can give your little rock and roll friend there who likes GWAR.
Oh, that's coming right out.
That's coming out. Okay, good. Okay, so where can everybody get your guys' merch? Is there a GWAR.com? Is there a YouTube page? Let us know all your socials.
Yes, there is GWAR.net. Yes, that's where you go for all things GWAR. GWAR.net.
Excellent. You guys have .net. You got, so that has all your videos, your YouTube. That's where they can buy the box set, all that jazz.
Oh yeah. All of the crappy merchandise that makes their lives.
Lothar from the band GWAR, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, my man. I really appreciate it.
Inspirational story.
Inspirational, inspiring, funny as hell. Unbelievable band. Unbelievable. Vin out.
Story out.
Thank you.
Oh.